Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of September 23rd through the 27th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from September 16th through the 20th, and also update the chart. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Rivn. We ended the week at $11.71, down nearly 11%. This ticker got clobbered. This is where we are. Now, as far as your price targets, to the north side takes us back to the middle of the trend and the baseline and resistance and a potential take profit area at 1227.28ish. Above that, 1302, another level of resistance, 1338, and roughly 1377. All I'm looking at and tracking is from this period, Monday through Friday. And right now we are still in a downward channel and have not reversed course. Looking left, you can see the sell-off here at resistance. And now that we're back near the support line, I will anticipate a bounce as people buy the dip. But the 1-year price target overall is to the upside at 1775. Right now, we are just getting whipped around. This gap opened up on Tuesday and closed out also on Tuesday to the downside, closing out at 1324. We ran up, so what goes up must come down. It filled, and this is no longer a threat to our account to the south side. And then this opportunity also opened up and closed to the downside. So if you like to go short, look for the gaps to the south side, or what I like to look for is gaps to the south side as my entry points. So that took us down to 1290, and we have another gap, yes, right here. I'm going to flip this to the 15-minute time frame so you can see that better. This gap began on June 26th, and it touched right there on Friday. So this gap has closed to the downside, and it's something I've been tracking, and that has filled. I do not see any other gaps, but I need to clean this up and possibly, no, that's a fill. So I think that's it. So that is good news if there are no more gaps to the south side. So hopefully we will go steady, go sideways, and then start to climb up. One other thing I want to do, this is on the 15 again, so I have to flip this over to the 5 because I like to consistently work off of the same time frame because you will get different buy and sell signals. So the middle of the trend for this week is right here. Change that to yellow. The previous week, we were up here. So we were in this bigger channel. And then the week prior to that, we were at this line that was the middle of gap. And then before that, up here. So you can see we went from here down, bounced back up here, and now we're down again. And this is the middle of the trend. And I'm going to just delete this one. I don't need to see that. I'm just going to keep 3 points of contact. All right, so again, potential buy-in area down here, here, and here. And obviously turn on your VWAP, your Bollinger Bands, whatever you like to do. You can get different buy and sell signals as well. Draw trend lines. Tsla up next. We ended the week at $238.25. And that's my chair squeaking. Down 2.32%. So here are your price targets. The middle of the trend and resistance from where we are, and a potential take profit area takes us back to 242.68, 249.98, 253.58, and 257.16. To the south side, 235.33, 231.74, 227.76. As far as the gaps go, we are still waiting for this gap to close out to the upside, taking us to 246.23. And this gap opened up and touched on Tuesday, no longer a threat to our account to the south side, closing out at 227.40. And then this one, I have to clean up this one. When I mark out my gaps, remember I just extend it. I have no idea where it's going to go, and I just let it go into the following week. But this one happened to open up last week, so I didn't move it all the way out. But this one was a tiny gap. Oh, why do I have that? Wait a minute, that got moved. No, that's not a gap. Oh, that's because, just a minute here. Oh, that is, yeah, never mind. I don't know why I have that marked out. That is not a gap. I must have accidentally hit something. Okay, you can see there's a gap. See that space? That dead space is the vortex. Right there, just drawing you back in, sucking you in. Okay, so we're done there. And this one, we gapped up. What goes up must come down. We gapped up. So eventually, this could close out. But right now, as you can see, we are finally going upward. But, yeah, this one, it could touch to here and start it and then bounce up. But right now, this would be the support line, the first support line that I play. And we have some landmines to the south side here still. This one takes us to 216.62. This one takes us to 201.61. Moving farther away because, again, on the 5-minute time frame, we are in an upward channel, making higher highs. I don't see anything else there. And then there was a big one above the 246, and that one will take us all the way to roughly 291.16. Fingers crossed. I need this thing to explode. 291.06-ish. Okay, so that is it for Tsla. Oh, one other thing, just because I've been on this kick about drawing the middle of the trend so that you can see visually where are we headed. So last week we were here, and now the middle of the trend is here. So that is a 4.82% return just from the middle of the trend to the next middle of the trend, basically Sunday night to Sunday night or Friday to Friday, since I do these on Sunday. But overall, it's nice to see we are finally in an upward channel. Resistance, sell-off. Support, buy-in. Resistance, sell-off. I got to go through and clean. Oh, yeah, I got to clean a couple of these things up. All right, the next one is NEO. As you can see, we are still slightly going down, but it's not as deep. So we did have a great week prior. Now it seems like we're just kind of consolidating sideways and going down a little bit. So as far as your price targets go, 549, 563, and 577. If we're down here, I never anticipate us to get to 4 standard deviations when we're close to the middle of the trend. If we wick up there, you can bet people will take their profits and they will run. If we hit to this level, they will lock in and they will leave. But if we're down here and we're just doing the normal grind, nothing exciting, just playing the standard deviations, 2 and -2 standard deviations is where I anticipate price will be, and that will change constantly depending upon the time frame that you play. But anything outside of those are outliers that are buy and sell signals. 520, 492, 478, and 464. Now, as far as the gaps go, that one's done. This one closed out on Tuesday to the upside, taking us to 560. What happens here? Resistance, and you can bet we have run more? Yes, but we didn't. And this area is a critical area telling you, watch out, it's going to start falling, because that's what the price does. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways, and then repeats itself. And this gap developed and closed. Did it touch really right here? Yeah, I'll give it to you. So we opened up on Tuesday and closed out on Tuesday. And then tanked down here, and this gap also closed out, so I need to clean that up, taking us down to 504, and this is support. And what happens? We ran up, fell back down, and then made our way all the way up here, and voila, you know what happens right here. You either have to take your profits, or you can't cry about it, because that was your sell, your clear sell signal. Obviously, if you're hanging on, just grinding through it because you're a long-term investor, that's something different. The 1-year price target on NEO is 655, and the middle of the trend is now 520. And previously, it was up here at 535, and then before that, it was right here at 512. So we went from here to here. And from that point to this point is roughly 2.85% to the downside. But from here, from resistance to support, that was down 12.64%. Yikes. That's not looking good there. And still going down. And I forgot to mark out Tesla's middle of the trend. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, I did do it. Did I do Rivn? Yeah, I did. Yep. Okay, I'm caught up. The next one is Tsly. We are at 1331. Again, I'm tracking from here to here, and we are still in an upward channel, so that is nice to see. 1346, 1366, 1376, 1387. You can use these outer bands as your targets if we continue to move up. We'll hit that, and then the next one will be here and then there, just as a guide. 1325, 1314, 1304. As far as the gaps go, why did I mark this one? This looks wonky. And then what is this one? Yeah, that's garbage. All right, so that gap closed to the downside at 1310. What happened here? This one is still in play. I will extend this out. That will take us to roughly 1314. Turn the magnet. And this one, we gapped up. That means we will gap to the downside to fill that, and we did, and that touched on the Friday, the 20th. And we've got two green gaps here, a gap within a gap. This one takes us to $14, and we could touch it on Wednesday if we continue to go up, but doesn't mean we're going to continue to go up without being whipped around all over the place, and that one will take us to 1437. Oops. Command Z if you want to correct something that you accidentally did wrong, like I just did. All right, so 1346 is our middle of the trend and the baseline. The previous week was here. Actually, I should clean that up a little bit, move it right there. All right, so we are from here to here. So I anticipate maybe grinding along this channel and going, if we go sideways to the north side, maybe around here, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, go up. All right, so that gap is still in play. This gap to the downside at 1253 is still in play. Moving farther away from that channel, this one's closed. What else do I have? Okay. Oh, that one I think I closed out of. All right. That's Tsly. SoFi is next. I did buy some more of this. I don't know if I did it last week or the week before. I can't remember. All right. 805 is where we ended, down 1.71%. Your targets, 817, 838, 848, 858. 796, 786, and 775. As far as the gaps go, this gap here at 857 is still in play. And this gap to the downside that opened up, this opportunity here opened up on Tuesday the 3rd roughly. And again, don't know when it's going to touch. I extended it out and we touched right here on Monday out of the gate. We closed it up 797 and then we touched right here, fell back down, made our way through resistance and another level of resistance, and then couldn't quite make it to 2 standard deviations and fell apart, just going sideways. So I will also extend this. And we are in a downward channel still on SoFi. We had an awesome run last week. Look at this, all the way up to the high was 852-ish. But if you pull out and look at the big picture, look at this. We're here. And then now going down, I anticipate going sideways and maybe making our way back down to repeat this area. All right, this gap is still in play to the downside at 662. And this one down to 633. All right, I still own SoFi at 628, 677, 705. I never sold out when I saw it at this position. So I'm trying to close it out with these gaps. That's what I want to do, and then unload. And this green, let's see, this green line, I sold it once already at 810. All right, next one. CVS. Option R to reset this. We ended the week at 57.51. Oh, wait a minute. SoFi, I need to mark the middle of the trend just for giggles. This is the middle of the trend right here. And previously, we were at 768, and the week before that, 701. So we've been steadily climbing up. Oh, let's just, for giggles, from here to here, gotta turn off my magnet, was an increase of 25%. Very nice. Okay, but right now, not looking good because this gap down here is begging to get filled and we are in a downward channel. But yes, we can make some money hitting resistance and then getting out if you bought it down here and then slowly making our way down to fill this gap. And then those other puppies to the south side. 662 here, 633 there. And if we get down to that level again, I will buy some more and play the long game. Okay, so that's it. So that gap fills out at 857. Okay. Oh, that was SoFi, huh? I'm still talking about SoFi. Let me take it over to CVS. I digressed, I'm sorry. All right, so the middle of the trend and the baseline is right here. Basically, we're back to where we started, right here. Okay, so that's one level, so roughly 57.85, 58.70, 59.13, 59.57, 56.99, 56.57, and 56.14. We have this gap opportunity to the upside whenever we fill. That will take us to roughly 58.32. And what's going on with this big one? Okay, we've got this one that will take us to 63.19. And then this big one taking us to 67.70. So let's look at the trend lines, or a trend line, just so you can visually see what is happening. Let me turn off the magnet. So the middle of the trend is here. We are retracing. So the previous week we were right here, and then the week before that we were here, and then before that we were at 56.78 as the middle of the trend, and now we are at 57.85. Even though it looks like we're going down, this has moved, fortunately, up from here though, but kind of sideways from this target. So let's go to the next one. Oh, any other? No, I think that was it. Yeah. Okay, we have a little gap here that closed out. It's like once you start looking for gaps, your eyes cannot avoid them. It's like a black hole. First, your targets. We are at the middle of the trend. 154.74, 155.43, and roughly 156.16, 152, 151.29, and roughly 150.58. And we are in a downward channel, so definitely we could probably hit these areas if we continue to slide. No gaps, no big ones that I pointed out. I mean, they were so tiny. It's like, the deviations will get closed out by that. So now what I want to do is mark out the middle of the trend. All right, so I'm going to predict price can grind if we're going to go sideways along this line, and then from here to here as a window. And previously, gap last week, the beginning of the week, the 16th, we were up here making our way down, and look, the channel is still going down, and then before that we were here. So we went from the middle of the trend here at 159.36 to up here, and unfortunately gave it all back. But this is the gap I am tracking to the upside, still in play, a long ways off. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. Don't hold your breath. Still a lot of growing pains for Boeing. Apple. I think the new phone came out. The 16. I know my dad wants one. I really don't care if I get one. I'd rather buy another property than a phone. All right. So we are at 228.20, down 0.29%. 230.32, 233.95, 237.61, 239.51, and at 4 standard deviations, which we will not get to, in one day from where we are, 241.32. And if we do, you can bet people will take their profits and they will run, they will lock in, and they will leave all the way from down here. But we are at support, but this gap to the south side is also a target. 221.07, that would be a better buy-in area than where we are now. There's no way I would be buying up here. This is a potential buy-in area, and down here as well. This gap, this baby gap, still in play, taking us down to, I'll just mark it out now, 216.85-ish. And then this gap from the previous week that opened up, we gapped down, went sideways. This is support, and voila, up to resistance. So that took us to 222.39. And that from down here is resistance. And then we fell back down to support, trying to make our way up. Always trying to play within -2 and 2 standard deviations. Resistance, sell off. There's a little gap here that closed, grinding along the middle of the trend, the baseline, till people decide if they're going to sell or if they're going to buy. A battle between the buyers and sellers there, grinding sideways, doing nothing. All right, and then the 1-year price target on this is 246.24. I cannot believe we finally cracked the 200s and have stayed in the 200s. It's like a miracle for Apple. I've owned this stock for so long that when it gets to this level, there tends to be a split. And obviously they haven't talked about that. I have not heard a word about that, but it's just so nice to see that we are consistently in the 200s and hopefully are on our way up. I need this thing to rip. I need this thing to go to Microsoft levels and Facebook levels. And then we can talk about a split. The next one is Intel. Oh, wait, do I have any other gaps? No. After we hit this level, that'll be it. I won't be tracking this one anymore for a while since this has been on my gap and go trades for a long time on and off. I like to replace all the tickers when they fill the gap that I originally started with. Okay, the last one is Intel. Let me move along here and get this done. All right, so we are on the 5-minute time frame and we completely gapped up off of good news. All right, and that news, you can read about it down here. They joined forces or something. Where did I? Well, here's Apollo offers multi-billion-dollar investment in Intel. Constellation Energy, blah, blah, blah. Not so fast here. Intel fell from global chip champion to take over Target. Anyway, this thing has whipped us around and given us whiplash. All right, so the target to the north side. Let me move this over there. It's to 22.35. And notice we are at 3 standard deviations and then 4, and then we went way past that, and look, we fell back down. Going back down takes us to support, another level of support, and support. On the way down, those lines turn into support. On the way up, it is resistance. And if you want to see the next leg up, flip it to the 15 or the 30, and then work your way to those different time frames to get those lines to populate. And then this tiny gap here also closed out. Okay, so now to the south side, 2157, 2076, 1997, 1956, and 1916 are your levels. But we are all the way up here. I don't know that we're going to get down to here. That's not realistic. What are realistic? These gaps and its potential to fill. So that took us down to 2097. We gapped up. It took a while. Look at this. smash back down. And then we tried, look at this, here to here. We just kind of repeated where we were. So that's, oh, I did track this because of this gap. I did a video during the middle of the week, so I'll leave that. And then this gap closed out right here on Friday as well. And then that little gap I talked about. So again, we're at resistance. I anticipate us to get back to the middle of the trend. And again, that calculation will change as TradingView updates its calculations, the math, depending upon your time frame that you're playing. Okay, so let's mark out the middle of the trend and the baseline, roughly right there. So last week right here, this from, I'm tracking here to here, and then from here to here. So last week, right here, we started the week at 1966 up to 2183. But let's just, for giggles, show you that was up 17%. But on the day, just Friday, we were up only 3.31%. You play the long game, you usually make out better, just like in real estate. So this is the week that I'm tracking with this middle of the trend. Again, this was the previous week, and then the week before that, and the week before that. But if you're going from the previous week to this week, this is the channel, the bottom channel I'm going to anticipate that we are in once we correct. Or we go sideways along here. But this will now turn into support as well. You can derive support and resistance in many ways. That's why you have to trade your own style, and it doesn't make sense for everyone. And yeah, most people don't trade the way I trade. But I can't trade the way other people trade. 2904 is the target to the upside. The 1 year price target is 2510. But this is a gap that would be filled if we make it to 2904. But then after that, $42. See, you play the long game and it's $42. Option R. So now I'm going to, for giggles, let's go to the 15 and see if this changed. Yeah, so on the 15, this is where we are. And resistance is 2269, 2324, and 2378. So, but again, I like to play within this range and know that anytime we hit here or here, it is a buy and sell signal. All right, that does it for me. I hope you have a fantastic trading week.